Hello students, welcome to the discussion. Myself Manoj. So in today's video, I would be discussing about the recent Taiwan crisis and its implications for the India and for the whole world. So why this topic is important, let's see. So this is important from the perspective of GS1, world history part, and also from your IR part in GS2. So you all know that recently US Speaker Nancy Pelosi has visited Taiwan, and this has caused a lot of tensions between US and China, especially. So before going into the discussion in the present context, let's see historically what are the ties between this China and Taiwan. So this is important, especially from the world history perspective. So from 17th century onwards, there was a dynasty called Qing Dynasty, Qing, that ruled China. And this dynasty was overthrown in 1912 through 1911 revolution. This dynasty was overthrown. Subsequently, obviously you all know that subsequent to a revolution, there would be so many groups that stake claim to who has to rule the country and how the country has to be ruled and what should be the vision of the country. So there were several, actually, then there used to be several warlords in the northern part of China, especially. This Qing dynasty, it's also called as Manchu dynasty. So Manchurian region is a northeastern part of present-day China. We called it Manchuria. Then it used to be called Manchuria. So several warlords used to be there. So the first Chinese president, Yuan Shikai, he was elected in 1912. He has promised that several democratic reforms would be introduced. But subsequently, he has turned into a dictator. So several allies who has initially supported him, they have deserted him. So this has resulted into several, breakdown of several regions, breakdown of land order, where small regions were, again, they went back into the control of these warlords. Okay, so by 1927, there were so many small areas of dictatorship within this China. So against this, since 1919, there was several protests in China. That new cultural movement has begun. Okay, this new cultural movement where several students and other politically active, politically conscious people, they have come together and they protested against this. In that context, two major groups have emerged in China. Two major political groups. One is Sun Yat-sen's Kuomintang Party or National People's Party, and second was Chinese Communist Party in 1921. So they have promised several reforms, and initially these both groups, they supported one another. Like they had anti-imperialistic stand, and communists were supported by, generally they were who were the supporters of communists, rural side, and whereas the Kuomintang were supported by the urban class and the educated, politically conscious people. So they both supported against the goal of anti-imperialism. When after the death of Sun Yat-sen, he was succeeded by Chiang Kai-shek. Initially, he was also supportive of communist movement and other things. But subsequently, post 1927, what happened? He has turned against communist. He has become anti-communist. Now, this resulted into what do we call as civil war in China. So we all know that what is civil war? Civil war is generally an internal war within a country where there would be tensions between different groups. That we call as civil war. So that civil war, it started in 1927 and it lasted for more than 2 decades. It ended in 1949. So you can see this. Now coming back to Taiwan. Taiwan was ceded to Japan post first Sino-Japanese War. Through the part of 1895 Treaty of Shimonoseki. Taiwan was earlier called Formosa. Now, in this civil war, actually communists have won, where Kuomintang party has lost. Why? Because after Sun Yat-sen's death, Chiang Kai has taken over the party of Kuomintang party, and he has become the undisputed leader of the country, and he has united several parts of the China. As I said that earlier, after the first initial 1911 revolution, there were several areas that were ruled by warlords, especially northern part of China. Now, Chiang Kai-shek has united them all. However, after he coming into power, there was severe corruption, and he was majorly he was tackling the issue of communism, and he has relegated other problems of China like poverty, agriculture. All these issues were sidelined, which were tackled by communists. And subsequently, there was second Sino-Japanese war. Even in this war, China knew that they couldn't tackle the advanced army of Japan. Even then, this Chiang Kai-shek, the Kuomintang party, has not warmed up to Communist party. So this again has led to people disbanding this Kuomintang party, where especially rural people, because of the long march of Mao, where he has undertaken several reforms that were proven to be successful in with respect to farmers. They have started supporting Communist party in large numbers. So in this civil war, the communists who have won, and Kuomintang party, the Chiang Kai-shek, what he did, he fled to Taiwan. So they used to call Republic of China. The China, then they used to call is Republic of China. Subsequent to the defeat of Chiang Kai-shek government in 1949, post the end of civil war, the Communist Party has come to the power. They have established People's Republic of China. So today's China is called as People Republic of China, and Taiwan is Republic of China. Okay, this is Taiwan, and this is China. So after the end of Japan in World War II, ROC government began exercising jurisdiction over Taiwan in 1945. ROC in the sense, till Kuomintang party was, till then he has not fled to Taiwan. He was in China only. After the defeat in 1949, Mao Zedong proclaimed People's Republic of China, and Kuomintang party, along with Chiang Kai-shek, they have fled to Taiwan, where they called it as Republic of China. So this is important from the world history perspective. If you see this map, this was in control of China under different powers in 1941. You can see this Japanese occupation. This area, northeastern part, is called Manchuria. Subsequently, Chinese communist, Chinese nationalist. Okay. Now let's come back to the present crisis. So recent visit is, for the first time in 25 years, a high-level official has visited Taiwan, which China has strongly opposed because it's against one China policy. What is this one China policy? According to this policy, China says that Taiwan is part of China. That is, Taiwan is part of People's Republic of China. There is no such thing called as Republic of China separately that is distinct from the mainland China. So those countries who wants to establish formal diplomatic ties with China, they have to abandon, or they should not have any diplomatic ties with Taiwan. Only then they can have. If they want to have formal diplomatic ties, then they wouldn't be having any diplomatic ties with China. So this is one China policy. Now, what has been the US stand? See, this term strategic ambiguity is very important. You have to write such terms in your IR aspect, because they would give an advantage, extra mark to you, because that shows that you understand the international relations in a better way. So what is this strategic ambiguity? See, before 1971, you know that it was an era of Cold War, where majorly US versus Russia, more than between countries, it was war of ideologies, because it was nothing but capitalist versus communist. Now you all know that post 1949 civil war, communist government was ruling mainland China, that is People's Republic of China, whereas Taiwan has taken the route of capitalist. So USA has recognized Taiwan, and it was using as a stance against anti-communism. However, things have changed post 1971, where USA has formally acknowledged one China policy. It means it recognized the mainland China as the only China. Taiwan is no longer recognized as a part of it's no longer recognized as the original China. Or okay. Now, however, US continued to maintain its stand in the economic and cultural ties. It continued to maintain, especially it used to supply the advanced fighter jets to the Taiwan. Apart from that, various economic interest, economic investments used to be made. So it was a, what do you say? This is called a strategic ambiguity. On one side, it says it is following one China policy, and on the other side, it has significant economic, political investments made in Taiwan. Okay, now what is India's policy? So India has acknowledged the one China policy, which saying that Taiwan and Tibet are part of China. However, China doesn't follow one India principle. What do you mean by one India principle? I mean, see, China says that recently, you know, that there was a crisis in Ladakh and other surrounding areas where China says that Union Territory of Ladakh, we don't recognize it as part of India. Similarly, if you know that Arunachal Pradesh crisis, where China says that Arunachal Pradesh is part of its southern Tibet. So it is not, while India is saying that accepting one China policy, China doesn't follow one India principle. So diplomatic relationship, India does not have any formal diplomatic ties. Only there is diplomatic office, not in the formal sense. There is an office in Taiwan. As part of its look east foreign policy, India has sought to cultivate extensive ties with Taiwan in investment and cultural ties. And India-Taipei Association was established in 1995. It's a non-governmental institution to promote non-governmental interactions. Subsequently, we have signed bilateral investment promotion and protection agreement. However, of late, there has been a stance in the government, though not officially. It's an indirect change where there were high-level visits of members of parliament. Similarly, earlier to the diplomatic office in Taiwan, there used to be a mid-career, not a senior diplomat used to be appointed. Now, India has appointed a top career diplomat to the Taiwan as envoy. So this is a change in stance. It's a subtle change, but it's a change. So now what should be the way forward? Now, what would be the implications for India, for the world, because of the present crisis? So implications, you can say broadly, first, now the threat of China attacking Taiwan, according to some experts, may become imminent. Why? See, it's a direct visit of US speaker. It's a direct threat to China's one China policy. It's a direct threat. Apart from that, why actually West has upped its game against China? See, Taiwan is just one of the key area where West, especially US, is fighting against China in several other areas. Now Taiwan is one of the other new area. Now the Taiwan has become focused, especially post-Ukraine crisis. Now West fears that China may follow the similar route for Taiwan, but West can't offer to save Taiwan. In the Ukraine crisis, what they did, they have not supported militarily, but they have supported economically. Here, by how economically? Through economic sanctions on Russia. But they can't do the same thing on Taiwan, China, because you know that China is the factory of the world. Such an economic sanctions imposed on China, they will boomerang on the West only. West would be the most significant impactor. Already in the case of Russia, you have been seeing that gas crisis. Now the same can't be going with China, because China, it's like a factory. Everything, supply chains would be disturbed if such economic sanctions would be imposed. So China knows that it has certain leverage, even if it attacks Taiwan today. Next, subsequently, other implications. It shows who is the superpower. In a way, it has shown that who is superpower. In spite of China's repeated assertion that Taiwan, nobody should make such visits to Taiwan, especially after accepting one China policy, such a visit has been made. So it is showing, America has shown that it is the superpower. Now it's up to China to demonstrate whether it is superpower or not. Now, what are the implications for India? Now, implications for India are especially, should India stick to one China policy? Should India or shouldn't? Or should India make China accept one India policy? How should India leverage this present crisis? Is the present crisis a leverage or threat? So you can analyze in both ways. It's a threat, especially because in the immediate neighborhood, crisis is not always a good sign for India. Crisis is not a welcome sign. However, as a leverage, you can say that in India can you make China accept one India policy. So this is how you need to analyze for your mains. Now the information I have given is adequate for you to write any answer from the mains perspective and from the world history perspective. I hope this video was helpful. If you feel that this video was helpful, please comment. And if on what topic should I make the next videos, and please share it among your friends. Thank you guys.